Good morning, American Jiu-Jitsu family. We are at Brown Belt 1. So let me explain that. Brown Belt has 3 levels. It goes 3 being the lowest level of brown, 2 and 1. So this rank, Brown Belt 1, is the rank that precedes or is right before a black belt. Technique, another one of my favorite things in Jiu-Jitsu is a Rimi Nage. A lot of misunderstood technique on these last 2 ranks. The Shihu Nage on the last rank and this one on the Rimi Nage. For those people who are not used to seeing something like this, they sometimes try to throw or make holes in it, all right? Always remember something. If you don't understand something, kind of like today's environment, that doesn't mean you shouldn't believe in hope and faith and in these techniques that they work, okay? This is why the videos are only so good. The videos are good for my students to have something to do in this different time right now, but a Rimi Nage is very similar to like a bullfighter with the red cape, okay? He taunts you with that red cape, that 1,000-pound or how much whatever bull comes running through that cape like it thinks that it's going to hit you as a person, then all of a sudden the bull goes by and there's nothing there to hit. Okay, so a Rimi Nage is kind of like that. It's a technique that will use a person's momentum or will use the person's push or pull to our advantage, okay? Always remember something, that if a table has 4 legs, that no matter how you push on it, you're not going to knock that table down. But if a table has 3 legs, there is a way of pushing that table down by finding the off balance. So what we do with the Rimi Nage is we use the momentum you use their momentum to take them down in a direction they already want to go. The hardest part is learning how to read the energy on which way we're going to go. All right? This is why this lies up at a higher level, because if we can't read the energy and we just don't take the person, bang, we could turn now with an elbow strike or whatever kind of strike. We get a little bit more physical, all right? So this is something that takes time to develop. We learn it here, and then as we progress up higher into the degree levels of black, it becomes something that's a little bit more proficient. So to make a Rimi Nage work, you have to learn to go with the force. You have to learn to change the levels. You can't just use this concept and stay on the same level, because the person will backstep and regain their balance. And then you have to learn to what they call change the levels, okay? Last thing on this detailed learning of Rimi Nage is at the very end, after you change the level, you have to accelerate speed. So you start off going with, you extend, and then you accelerate speed as you're changing the levels, okay? One more thing before we get started with technique, always remember every day we post on Facebook American Jiu-Jitsu LI group. Every day we post 1 rank. And on American Jiu-Jitsu LI YouTube, we have the whole library of all of these videos, which if you go to that, please click like and subscribe. We're looking to get over 1,000 subscribers. Lastly, every day, including Sunday now, we actually have Zoom classes, multiple Zoom classes. So if you go to the website, ajjcenters.com, you'll see the whole listing of all of our Zoom classes with the Zoom code. What you gotta do is you gotta download the Zoom app, and then you have to put the code in. It's gonna ask you for a password. If you need a password, ask one of our students or email me at OSenseiJoe@gmail.com, and I will gladly forward you the password you need to get into the Zoom meeting, okay? So with that today, I wanna thank Kathy and Billy, Sharon, Kathy and Billy, for coming down. They've been helping me with this tape. We do practice social distancing. They live by themselves, I live by myself. They are a married couple. That's why they volunteered to work with each other to make these techniques a little bit more understandable versus me trying to simulate them and do them by myself. So we thank them for that. Without any further ado, we're gonna get into our first technique. So the first technique, we always deal with punches first, and then we go into the self-defense application, and then we'll go into a weapon application as well, okay? So the first technique is a high punch, and this is gonna be, again, like that bull. We're gonna go with this. So we're gonna use a lot of concept that we learned in some of the previous videos. Like we're gonna use the Tazabaki movements, we're gonna be using the going with movement, and technique is called the Rimi Nage. So this is going with. As the momentum's coming at us, we're just gonna get out of there, let that force go by in a circular type of way. We're gonna bring this person down with our first Rimi Nage. So, high punch, going with. Perfect. All right, we'll do it one more time from the other side. Very nice. So there are basically 2 concepts that we look at with the Rimi Nage, especially from the punch. We call this going with, which you're going to see that done in more techniques as we progress. And we also call another one shutting the person down. So the difference between the two techniques is the going with is when it's coming at you, you kind of see it and you're getting off that line of attack. Kind of a technique that I call more of a technique that you kind of see or you can't read it, you don't want to shut it down. This one is where you kind of see it and you're going right after the person, right, shutting it down. So the other one is that, like I said, going with, and this one you see it happen and bang, you shut it down. The biggest thing you want to do with the shutdown, so here's a better way of explaining it. The going with, the apex of the arch gets broken, right? So we have no time to get in now because if we do, we're going to get hit. But with the shutdown, the apex doesn't get broken and you can shut it down. So if the apex gets broken, you go with it. If the apex doesn't get broken and you see it, bang, get off your horse, shut it down. That's the technique you're about to see. High punch, shut it down. Boom, that's right. Now, just so you understand how things connect. If Shihan Billy got there and for whatever reason the momentum wasn't good, and Sensei Kathy, or Shihan Kathy, didn't go down, you'll see that he has a Hadaka Jimmy right from there. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. So as she throws the punch, from here, if there's some reason she doesn't go down, he can go right into that Hadaka Jimmy and choke the person out. So you learn these techniques when you're ready to learn these techniques because you have an arsenal of techniques previous to this, so you're not just dependent on this technique. If I got there and all of a sudden I felt there was some resistance and I felt there was going to be a hard time going for that choke, bang, I get him with that roundhouse elbow strike, poke him in the eye, hit him in the throat. We always can go back into our combative modes. So the last two ranks is showing some of the traditional things that we learn in the art. Then we catapult this later on and we take these same renegades and we call them combative renegades. So when I go in, I actually crush the windpipe on the first entry. But we don't want to get there now. Right now we want to learn the more traditional ways of doing a renegade. So now on a straight punch, we're going to use a technique that we refer to on the belt list as rock and roll. Most of you know I play the guitar, so I always have to get music in there somewhere, all right? So we're going to come around, and now why we're doing this technique is because as we come around, the person fights back up. So we're going to use our fan block. We're going to come around. This comes to the back of the person's head, which you'll see in a second. And then the person's body comes back up, and bang, I'm going to shut them right down. So we call that rock and roll. Get it? Watch. He rocks, she comes back up, he rolls. Notice he went overhead, not to hit her across the windpipe or clavicle too hard. Let's do that one more time. Either way. Okay? So there's your fan block, goes behind, comes back, boom, and brings it right down. Remember, the uke, or the person that's getting the technique done to them, Tora is the one that's doing the technique, is responding to how she's reacting, okay? So now again, on that straight punch, we're gonna shut her down. We're gonna come right, we're gonna parry the hand, and bang, shut her right down, okay? Boom, and shuts her right down. Perfect. Okay. Now on this low punch, we're going to use that same absorption. As she throws a low punch, we're going to go with and just take her in the direction she's already going. Okay, so let's look at that low punch. Bang, just take her in the direction she's going. So again, always remember when looking at this technique, if you're not an American Jiu-Jitsu student and judging the techniques, you really can't judge unless you had them done to you, all right? These techniques will work for you, and there is a very combative side to it, but first you have to learn the more traditional side to it. You have to learn how to develop and use that momentum to your advantage. So please be open, and when our studio opens, you can come to the studio and we'll show you how these techniques work. The video is only so good, but for now, it's great, okay? So now the person's coming at us with a high wedge attack, like they're coming to charge at us. And again, the apex really hasn't gotten broken. So bang, we're gonna shut it right down on this one and bring the person right down from the attack. So she comes at us, boom, he shuts it right down, bang. Now you notice for a second, Shihan Billy is stopping because he doesn't want to hurt Shihan Kathy. In more of a combative way as we get more trained with this, and also it helps the video, we go right through it like a hot knife through butter. But I don't want him to do that right now. Number one, I don't want it to hurt his wife. And two, I want you to be able to see what he's doing. But really, these techniques are somewhat seamless when doing them in more of a realistic way. This is why sometimes people have a hard time understanding them. So we're stopping for the second to emphasize the point of how he's moving. All right, on the low charge, again, this is when the person's kind of coming out to shoot us like a grappler, and we're gonna wheel throw the person like the bullfight, just take the person in a direction they're already going. Bang. Now, obviously, this person will say, well, that uke is going with the throw. Yeah, that uke is going with the throw, because if the uke platform and stop, they would get a knee in the face or a rake into the eye. They're going with it because they know what the throw is. They know what to do. It's the same way saying, when the bull charges at the red cape, he knows it's there, he's gonna stop short. I think you're having too many cocktails, okay? The bull's gonna go right through it because he believes that red is infuriating him and he's gonna take the person out that's holding it. It's the same thing here. So please don't look into these too much unless you're standing in front of me, and then I'll make you a believer. Okay, the next one, if the person's coming at us from a side, so she comes from the side, here, he's just gonna go with and take the person out, okay? Yeah, just a different stance, just a different way, same technique. Now let's go into the self-defense application. So again, we have to learn to read the attack. So on this one, he's gonna pull us, or she's gonna pull us in this case, and we're just gonna go with it and shut her down. Please. And bang. The next one.